Hey, so today we're going to talk about some Vim stuff, particularly Neovim stuff inside of Omarchy. That's what we're going to do. Now, I need to give a little bit of a caveat first, so I'm going to pull this up. I think it's going to sound like I'm mad about everything. And I just want to clarify that I am hopeful and optimistic about more people learning Vim. And I think that we're doing a lot of things that stand in the way of people doing that. I might restate that because I think it's an important thing. I am optimistic about how we can do better and get more people, I don't know, enjoying this thing that I've enjoyed for like the last 17 years of my life. And I think, yeah, getting good with your fingers is fun. I don't know if it's meaningful that much anymore. I don't know if it's like a strong skill, typing and navigating the world through your keyboard, but it is fun. And yeah, so let's get into it. Okay. So what do we have here? Right now we have, so this is Omarchy, and right now I have Neovim open. It's using, what is it, LazyVim? I think I might have to quit this. I'm still learning everything, and I have this like wacky new keyboard, so this is going to be an exciting time. So let's quit, save, sure, whatever. So Omarchy comes with a version or a fork of Vim called Neovim, but not just that. It also comes with LazyVim, which is a bunch of stuff layered on top of Neovim. And there's a lot to unpack there. So you open Omar. Oh shoot, I was gonna try and install a keyboard overlay. Sorry, that's my bad. So you open Omarchy by doing Command N. Sorry, you open LazyVim by doing Command N. This is a highly customized version of Neovim, which is a fork of Vim, which I think is probably the right thing to use these days. There's a lot of contestation around like if Neovim is like really Vim for a number of reasons, some of which we'll explore today. I don't think it matters that much. I think that it may have mattered more a couple years ago when Brian Mulroney, benevolent dictator for life of Vim, passed away. And, if they're the benevolent dictator for life and they pass away, they're no longer the dictator of the project. So it's just, I don't know, Neovim makes a lot of sense. Lua is great. VimScript is absolute ass. So like, I like it. It's great. But yes, that is the basis. Neovim is the basis for LazyVim here. So it's technically lazy Neovim, whatever. Okay, so one thing that's interesting and a little bit confusing for me as a Vim user about this is that they've kind of obscured some of the details that you get from the initial loading page of Vim. So you have these like quick actions. So if I type, what is it? Find, I'll be able to find program. Escape will let us get out. We can kind of open projects, etc. But they're all one key click away. The regular Neovim Neovim page will actually instruct you on this page on how to use the program. So like if you want to quit, you actually have to run a command, which you would do with colon, and then you would do quit to quit Neovim. And it tells you how to do that on the page. This has led to a lot of confusion because a lot of times people find themselves in Vim or Neovim through some other means, like a git commit. They'll load into Vim and then not know how to quit because they haven't seen that screen. Anyway, it's a command. It's a little bit obscured in this case because everything is hidden. Whatever. That's just like the first thing that I noticed when I was playing with this. But we have so many things, so many other things to go through. Now, One of the kind of famous things about Vim is that you've been able to, they had a built-in tutorial. And I don't know that it's stood the test of time necessarily. I think that it talks about, it starts from a place of like just basic navigation with the home row keys. And, you know, it's fine, right? Everyone seems to copy that. Like every every course that I see on Vim starts with the same thing, and I think it's like almost completely irrelevant um, to learn the arrow keys. I think you can navigate Vim just fine without the arrow keys. I see it as like basically a very pro feature. If you don't want to use the arrow keys, you can use H, J, K, and L. It feels like one of the last things that you like gain anything from using Vim. So anyway, but like you would access it by you could type in what is it so if we open up a terminal, you would access it by typing in Vim tutor. Unfortunately, because we don't have Vim installed, we have Neovim, that like binary for Vim tutor is also not installed, so we don't have access to that whatsoever. Now, another way that you can access it is by typing colon what is it, help was it Vim tutor, I think. Yes. Now we do have access to the doc here, right? So that's great, but it says like, you know, reading sucks, and so you should do it interactively with tutor. So let's try that. If we try to run the command tutor, we get an error. I don't know why, but it is unfortunate. It's kind of sad. Kind of sad that we don't have Vim tutor available to us. But bottom line, we do have, if you run help space tutor, it'll open up this document and you can navigate, you know, kind of read through it. Let's see. Yeah, and it'll go through all of the stuff. So it covers installation, which seems kind of weird because this is inside the document, but it goes through that. Might be worth going through this. I don't know. But that is what it is. So it is available there. I learned through the Vim tutor, through Vim tutor. It's super great. Big fan of it. Again, it is a little bit outdated in terms of how you like how it teaches you stuff. But you know, whatever. So we're gonna, I think, cover, that's like, I don't know, that's like all the things that I was confused about, just like literally opening LazyVim for the first time and kind of wondering how it compares to, like, you know, the original Vim. I didn't even realize that you couldn't like run Vim tutor. It'd be nice if we could fix that. I don't know how, but I'm happy to try if it ever came up. Okay, so so we have LazyVim. I'm going to open up a little file. I'm going to talk about how I think is the best way to consider adding some Vim to your workflow. And we'll learn a little bit about LazyVim. This is literally the most time I've spent in LazyVim so far after installing Omarchy last week. So let's open a file. I created this Vim stuff markdown file, and clearly I didn't save it correctly. So whatever. All right. So one of the first things that you have to understand about Vim is that it opens in this thing called normal mode. Normal mode is confusing because you might assume that every editor that you've used in the past was normal mode, but in Vim you would consider this insert mode. It's named after the fact that, you know, when in insert mode, every character that you type actually inserts a character into the document. So you're, you know, direct editing. Now you can see that we're in insert mode here. Insert mode is a different mode the normal mode, which we'll talk about in a second. But insert mode is the mode that you're like you're very familiar with every other text editor that you've ever used. Here, even in Vim, we can still use we can still use arrow keys as we are used to using. Can't use shift for selections, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So that is off the table, but we can still navigate with our arrow keys just fine. Now, to enter into insert mode, so anytime you open a file, you're gonna open into this normal mode, which we see down here. When in normal mode, you'll see this block cursor, and that block cursor, we can still use arrow keys to navigate. But when we see that block cursor, every key on the keyboard is a macro. So you're in this kind of like zoomed out mode, if you will, in normal mode, where instead of every key being a way to insert a character into the document at the insert point, everything becomes a macro. It's going to do something to edit or like change modes or whatever inside of Vim, or like operate on that text. So let's cover that. It's pretty easy. So going into insert mode from normal mode, so you open a document, you're in normal mode. You first need to know how to get into insert mode, and it's pretty easy. Think about the vowels. It's not all the vowels, but it's many of the vowels. Let's zoom this up a little bit. Got to remember the keyboard shortcut. I think it's Control plus. Yeah, Control plus. Okay, so we're going to zoom into this a little bit. A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y. In this case, it's just A, I, O. Those are your insert keys. A, so first letter of the alphabet, A. Now, what A does is, so you see this, so we have this block here. This is our like normal mode cursor. Now, when we hit A, we're going to enter insert mode. So I'm going to hit A. We see that our mode changes from normal to insert. We've gone from that mode where every key is a macro, and now every key is like inserting. So, typing some A's now. We exit back into normal mode by hitting escape. So A puts us into insert mode. Escape takes us back out into normal mode. So A, escape, A, escape. If I hit multiple A's, we're going to, after that first one, we're just going to start inserting. Escape takes us back into normal mode. So we have A, which is one of our insert macros, actions, whatever you want to call it. We have I. Now, I is a little bit different. I is going to insert before the cursor. So we have our block normal mode cursor. I inserts right before that. Okay, so we have both sides of our character. A is after, I before. So if I escape out of that and whoops. The mouse still works too, by the way. You can still use the mouse to navigate and start selections. So another reason that HJKNL is not particularly interesting way to start. So if I find a place to start and I'm in normal mode, I'm gonna hit I, puts me inside of insert mode, and then we hit a bunch of I, keep hitting I's, and it'll keep going. Okay, great. The last one is O, and O is something that's really interesting for code. It will insert, but on a new line. So if I hit O, it creates a new line for me, and I can start typing whatever I want on this line. Again, escape goes back into normal mode. I can hit O again. It's going to create a new line, and let me start from there. Great. Okay, so we have A, I, and O. Those are the ways that we go from normal mode to insert mode. A after the cursor, I before the cursor, insert before the cursor, and O puts us on a new line. Now, these have both lowercase and uppercase variants, and they'll behave differently. So we have lowercase a is going to put us after the cursor. However, let's say we're in the middle of this word and we want to just add, oh, shoot. Still, see, this is still getting my bearings around the keyboard shortcuts and this new keyboard. Okay, so Shift A is going to insert after the final character. So Shift A inserts after the last character on that line, which is really nice. Let's say we're in the middle of the line. Shift I, you might be able to guess what it does based on A, is going to insert at the first, the 0 character mark. So it's going to go all the way to the beginning of the line and put your insert cursor there. And it doesn't, put it at the first alphanumeric character. It actually does it at the beginning of the line. So, or I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess it's the first alphanumeric character. Let's see how that works. Let's see. Hey. Okay. Interesting. So something that's a little bit concerning is now I'm questioning myself if that is like actual like default behavior or if it's augmented in some way. Now, not saying that, it is or isn't, but I'm a little nervous because, when I type S, this does some kind of weird search as opposed to substitute, which actually S typically does inside of Vim on augmented. Okay, well, anyway, if you're here, any part of this word, if you do capital I, it's going to go to the first alphanumeric character, ignoring the white space, and then, kind of go from there. Okay, and then the O, if you do O, it's after, puts a line after. And if you do Shift O, it's going to put a new line before. So after is the default, capital O puts you in a new line before. Super cool. Okay. Now one thing that let's talk about, let's jump to LazyVim for a second. Something I do like about LazyVim so far is that it shows you the last full command that you ran. So I'll run a command like delete inside word, which deletes what it registers as a word. And as it completes, it puts that right here, which is really nice that we can see the last command that we ran. So U is undo and undo will show up here. That's great. I actually really like that as part of this status line thing. We also have the time, which I don't know, time is helpful. Really nice when I've like taken the position of hiding this this bar thing. Oops, wrong keyboard shortcut. Hiding the bar. So super nice. If you're hanging out, you have any questions? I'm very happy to answer any questions. I'm just kind of navigating like the kind of important topics that you would want to important things that you would need to know if you're coming to Vim, Neovim, LazyVim for the first time. But again, happy to answer any questions if you're here hanging out to learn something about Vim. Okay, so we covered a little so far. We've covered a little bit about the modes. We understand normal mode, insert mode, and how to navigate between those. And we've also learned effectively like 3 keys or 4 keys so far. So we have escape, which is going to take you out of insert mode and put you back into normal mode. We have 3 keys, A, I, and O, which can put you from normal mode into insert mode. And those have variants, capital A, capital I, capital O, which will alter how you get into insert mode based on the line. So in and out, or switching between normal and insert mode. Now, the way that I like to think about, let's switch this up. Okay, so the way that I like to think about a modal editor, it's a lot more akin to the way that we think of, like, if you've ever used Lightroom or a video editing piece of software. They often have different pages that you can go through to complete different parts of that project. So you may have like a media page where you actually just organize all of the media, you bring everything into your projects, etc. But then you have a like an edit page where you edit the video, and it has like a full timeline you're doing. You might have an audio page where it exclusively allows you to process the audio, and then an export page. I think of that kind of like that being the way that a modal editor like Vim works. You're going to have different things, different ways that you can utilize the same keyboard on the same text. You have different modes of doing those things. So let's go through like just a really basic, like soup to nuts, like in and out workflow to cover, I guess, like all of the modes. Maybe so, or also all of the major modes. There are some like kind of like weird minor modes that you can get into. We won't talk about any of that kind of stuff. So what are we doing here? So let's talk about command mode. Okay. I was gonna do like a full circle, but in order to actually get out of this file, we actually have to talk about command mode. Okay, so command mode starts when you type colon. Colon will open up command mode, and in LazyVim, it does a very interesting thing. Command mode, typically, you'll see a colon down here, and then you start typing your command. In LazyVim, you have a command line. It's like a little modal window that pops up. Where you will type your commands. And one nice thing about this, so we saw this earlier, if I type help and space, it changes the prompt to a question, which will allow me to search the docs, which is, I don't know, an interesting little interaction that you don't get from regular stock Vim. Oh my gosh, let's put this back. Sorry about that. Not super great at streaming. Okay, so again, so colon is going to open up, put you into command mode, and command mode in LazyVim has this command line where you can start typing. If you type help, something like help, it's going to change the cursor and allow you to look for things, or the prompt, the prompt line. In this case, we want to write this file. Save, write. In Vim, we call saving writing. And so we're going to write by using the W command. I think we might actually be able to write is write. Yeah. Okay, so crap. Yeah, okay. So we're going to open command mode, type W or write to write this file out. We've already saved it, so it's going to write it in place. There's also a quit command. Actually, real quick. So instead of write, because it's so common, you can just do W for write, and write will do the same thing. It's going to write out to the file on the file system. There's also a quit command. So we run the quit command to leave Vim. If we were in a terminal, this would kind of go back to our terminal. Actually, let's try that. So open up a terminal. What is it? Nvim? Is that the command? Yeah, which nvim? Yeah, okay. So we're going to nvim our Oh shoot, I don't have tab completion. Weird. In vim stuff.md. Interesting. I wonder why I'm having swap trouble. So we opened up our Vim file. Let's see. If we quit from here, does it take us back out into our terminal? Yes. Okay, cool. So when we open Vim with the command N shortcut, it's opening it in like an actual like application mode, it seems. However, we can, one of the beautiful things about terminal editors is that we can just run those inside of our terminals. So let's open that again. Edit anyway. Now, just like write and quit, we have a Q option, which is going to quit back out of Vim back into our terminal. What's up, Josh? Yeah, no, Omarchy is actually sick. It's super dope. One thing to know, though, let's talk about this for a second. One thing to know about Omarchy is that when it says you can't dual boot on Omarchy, like it actually means that. So it actually changes I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it does, but it changes something in the bootloader that you have to have like secured disks or something like that. Now I read that it's possible to chain load like regular, what is it, EUFI like boot drives or something like that. So it might be possible with systemd. It's definitely theoretically possible with grub or whatever that kind of adds this like layer beforehand. But just keep that in mind. Like if you have like a Windows system or whatever, I have it on a completely separate physical drive, and I still can't dual boot right now without popping out the Linux drive. So that kind of sucks. So keep that in mind. Might be worth buying like a $100 PC on Amazon and then using that as your Omarchy like experimental system for now. But it's really good. Not gonna lie. That said, you can just install Vim. It's great. All right. So let's run this life cycle then. We're going to clear this. Nvim is the command that we use to open Vim inside of a terminal. We'll do vim stuff.md. We'll open that up. I'm not sure. I think I need to delete this swap file. Yeah, whatever. I'll delete it later. We're going to edit anyway. Now, in order to, let's say we make a change. So we'll do some change. So we O to get into insert mode on a new line. Another change. And then we want to write this file. So we say :W, enters command mode. We write the file to the file system. Great. And then we enter command mode again and Q to quit. Okay. Now, there are faster ways that we can do this. Oh my gosh, this sucks. I should just take 3 seconds to delete that swap file, but whatever. Sorry, real quick. So we have that change. Now we can stack these commands. So when we go into command mode, we can do write and quit all in one thing. So we can stack those, write, quit, etc. This is such a common thing, obviously, that there's some additional keyboard shortcuts, etc., which we will get into. I have an old laptop I'm about to try. Yeah, old laptops are great at this kind of stuff. I've actually been scouring Facebook Marketplace for some old, what is it? ThinkPad Carbon, X1 Carbons. Those are pretty sick. The 2014 MacBook Pro, I'll probably throw at it. I never use it, and the latest Mac OS can run is so slow. Yeah. Is that an Intel one? Because I think, yeah, 2014, that would probably be that would definitely be an Intel one, right? I'm super curious about that because the one that I have an old notebook, old MacBook, but it's like, I don't think it even runs anymore. It's like from 2010, I think. It was like the first Mac that I bought for myself. MacBook Air. It's great. I love that thing. All right. That was such a good era of MacBook Air. That's when they had the 11-inch. That thing was a beast. I still can't find a computer that does that. It reminded me a lot of the like Sony Vaios when those first came out, and they were like these, like they were literally smaller than this keyboard. Such a great little computing device. All right. Back to Vim. So we ran through a whole cycle with like 3 of the 4 major modes. So we open up into normal mode. Every key on the keyboard is a macro. We use A, I, or O to enter into insert mode, and then we can edit our text as normal. It becomes like basically a normal editor. And we use command mode to write the file and quit the application. Super cool. We already know like 3 of the modes. So what's the last mode? And why is it the best the best part of Vim? Well, let me show you. Now something that let's see. Yeah, let's quit this. And let's go back into this for a second. Okay. So there's a lot of heritage or like history inside of just the name Vim, right? So Vim stands for Vim improved, and this is the fork of the kind of original VI editor that Brian Mulroney made into the editor Vim, and Vim is for Vim improved, and so it has a lot of niceties that VI didn't, but VI actually stands for visual, like it's shorthand for visual. So this was like the visual editor of a terminal-based system, compared to just kind of like running commands or scripts, or like operating on a single line at a time through like a terminal system. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly how it worked, but effectively there was like X, which would like execute commands on code, which is very similar to the command mode that we've experienced. And then there was like VI, which allowed you to like visually actually like open a file. It was kind of like the way that we experience text editing today. Now, I mention this because like visual mode is really the heart of what makes Vim great. And it can be like super easy to, like if you've seen a lot of like Vim golf type of stuff where people are like finding the fewest number of shortcuts to, macros to operate on a piece of text. Visual mode can kind of get missed in a lot of the stuff. So like visual mode, let's open it up. So we're going to open up our file. So we can, whoa, what did I do? What did I do? Okay. Little bug there. So annoying. Josh is here. He's serious. Oh man. See Vim on and Omarchy. I'm here. That's the last 3 days. Nice. Okay. So visual mode is one of my favorite things inside of Vim. I think it's the thing that actually makes Vim special, and it works like this. So in a traditional text editor, you may end up doing Shift. I can't really emulate it here, but you might like hold down Shift and then go into like a visual selection with a mouse, right? You might hold Shift and then do your arrows to get to the place that you want. Or like if you're really fancy, you could do like Shift Option and go by entire words. Okay, you can think of visual mode as like the shift of Vim. And actually, I think I'm going to need a nicer block of text. So let's see. Let's get the. It's not Lodash. What's the what was the underscore? Underscore JS source. Okay. We're gonna get the underscore JS source. If I can find it on GitHub, I think it'll give us a good understanding of how to do this. I like the let's see, modules. Oh no, is it broken into modules now? It used to just be one. Oh shit. This actually sucks. Okay, whatever. Let's do this. Does anyone have like a code example they really like? Okay, let's quit that. Still figuring out the shortcuts. Let's open up T3 chat. We'll let's see, generate some JavaScript for me. Okay. Something stupid that I've done with this particular keyboard is that I wanted to use the tilde key for something else. And so I put it on quote with a delay, and it's truly insufferable. Let's see. Okay, so this is interesting. How do I paste here? I think maybe right click paste. Okay, cool. Perfect. Great. Yeah, this should work. Okay, cool. So we're talking about visual mode. We can get this out of the way now that we have some coding here. Now you can think of visual mode like shift, where you're gonna make some kind of text selection, or like using a mouse, where I would select this portion of it and then hit delete or something like that. Visual mode works very similarly logically to that. So I'm gonna hit V. So V right here if you're a QWERTY user. In normal mode, we hit V to enter visual mode. Oh my gosh. What is this? Okay, so we're in visual mode, and then this is, okay, so LazyVim is giving a context menu of the things that we can do inside of visual mode while this command is still like incomplete, which is actually nice. So this is sick. Okay, so we can just kind of like go through these. So here we get into like kind of Vim motions where we can actually like make the selections that we want, which is cool. We're going to start though with just arrows. So in visual mode, we've started a visual selection at this T character. I'm going to use arrows to just navigate to make my selection. Now, once we have a selection that we're comfortable with, we can operate that in a couple of different ways. So we can use adding some more keys to our life here. We can use C. Actually, let's start with D. We can use D to delete all this. Okay, we delete it. It puts us back into normal mode, and we can navigate as we were doing just a second ago. U undo is going to undo the last change. So visual selection, we use our arrow keys. If we want, we can go down, delete to this area, and we hit D for delete. Okay, back into normal mode. Now, typically when you're working with code, you're gonna make your visual selection. Arrow keys. You're gonna make your visual selection, and you want to change it. You don't want to just delete it. Oftentimes deleting is great, but most of the time you're going to be changing something. We can change something with C. Okay, now The difference, it still deletes all that stuff, but it puts it into the C mode, or it puts us into insert mode. So still deletes. The only difference between D and C is what mode you end up in. D deletes, puts you back into normal mode. C deletes and puts you into insert mode, which means that we can immediately start typing the replacement for whatever code we deleted. Escape to get out of insert mode, U to undo. Okay, so that's the beauty of visual mode. It's like, just think of it like shift. We're going to shift and then make a selection. Now, one of the cool things about visual mode is that you can do a bunch of different types of selections. So now that we understand how, like, selection works, let's just pop open that V menu and see, what options we have. So we can make a visual selection. Let me get my stupid face out of here for a second. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can, because it'll make my mic go away. There we go. Okay, so visual selection. So one of the I'm going to skip these for now. So one of the first options is that we can do 0, which will go to the start of the line. So like the 0th character. So we go V0. It's going to take us to the start of the line, and then we can run our C or D commands, depending on what we want. Okay, great. Let's open up V again. We can go to the beginning of the previous word. So actually, let's go to the space right here. If we do B, it'll take us to the beginning of the previous word. Now, previous is a little bit misleading here, because if I'm inside the word and I do V and back, it's going to, it operates on the current word. In the space case, it was previous. So I don't know. Some of the language gets a little bit weird. Okay. The logical opposite of that is going to be the end of the next word. So if we go V and then go to E, it's going to go to the end of that next word, with spaces. Or if you're inside of a word, to the end of the current word. There are alterations around this to include punctuation. So if we do V and E, like we just learned, it's going to take us all the way to that dot, but not include it. Actually, let's zoom this up a little bit. Okay, take us all the way to the dot, but not include it. If we do capital E, it's going to go to, man, what are the rules for this? Okay, so E, to the end of the next word. Now, if we want to find out more about what constitutes a word, we can do command : to enter command mode, help, and then I think we can look for word. So what is a capital word? Okay, so, oh, shit. Okay, so lowercase word. A word consists of a sequence of letters, digits, and underscores, or a sequence of other non-blank characters separated with white space, tabs, etc. This can be changed with the is keyword option, an empty line, etc. So these are configurable. One thing that is a little bit challenging about using like a pre-configured system like LazyVim is that may come pre-configured with like a non-default option that maybe makes more sense for code editing, but kind of changes the definition of what a word is. An uppercase word consists of a sequence of non-blank characters separated with white space. An empty line is also considered to be a word. A sequence of folded lines is counted for one word of single character, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it consists of a sequence of letters, digits, and underscores, or a sequence of other non-blank characters, versus this, a word consists of a sequence of non-blank characters separated with white space. So if we take that back, Q to quit that, what it's doing is it's going to the first non-blank space. That's what it's considering like an uppercase word. So we have a bunch of, so if we visually select to the end of the word, because there's a special character between, paren and then exclamation point, it's using that as a word. However, if we do uppercase, and is going to go to the next white space character, indifferent to how many special characters, punctuation, etc. are present. So yeah, VE versus VE is going to be the same in that case. VE will just get the error word, and then VE will go to the first non-character key, or like the first blank space, even though this is like not necessarily like a logical piece of code or like a logical word in English. That's what it's going to go to the next white space. Okay. Now, something I want to cover real quick is that I can navigate by these same logical things outside of visual mode. So I'm in normal mode right now, and I want to cover it just because I've been doing it quite a bit. But I can go to the end of this word with E. I can go B. I can do B to go back to the beginning of that word. Likewise, if I do capital E, it's going to take me to the end of the non-white space chunk, take me to the next white space. And we can do this through lines, which is really nice. B to go back in the same direction. Those are the same in normal mode and visual mode. The only difference is that visual mode is like holding down that shift so you can make a selection and then operate on it. Okay, so let's continue on. So we were in V, and we were kind of talking about the things that we can do inside of V. This list actually goes on a little bit longer. So this gets us into navigation. So we did B, capital B. We already covered C and D, which allows us to change and delete things. E and capital E will, go to the end of the next word. Let's see, F, whatever. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's go V. Now, to navigate this window while it's up, we have some options. So we can hit escape to get out of it. V, again, will open up this visual mode options list. And we can use Control D or Control U to kind of scroll this list. And these are common inside of Vim. So if we use Control U, am I doing that right? Right keys? Okay, got it. I was going the wrong direction. So yeah, so these are also mnemonics. So D is for down and U is for up. I was confused for a second because I was seeing that up, but that's actually a control. I'm telling you what control to use. So Control D is going to take us down on the list, and Control U is going to take us up on the list, up and down. That also works inside of normal mode, so not just that context menu. So Control down will scroll us, page us down, and Control U will page us up. Now, scroll actually, while it does work inside of Vim, it doesn't work inside of that context menu, which can be a little bit confusing. All right, so let's talk a little bit more. Control. visual line. Yeah, so another thing that's helpful, another one that's going to be like super helpful is navigating by words. So a B, which goes back to the beginning of the word, end that goes to the end of the word. W will go to the next word. Yeah, so with E, we're going to get to the end of the current word, and with W, it's actually going to take us to the next word. So if we wanted to get to new, we can do W. It's going to take us to the next word. E takes us to the beginning of error. If we just do regular lowercase w, it's going to take us to the next character. But like we saw with some of the other ones, if we want to jump past the next white space, we're going to use capital W, and it's going to go by those white spaces. So B, E, and W are your keys for that. Now that we understand just kind of like basic understanding of like how to make a selection, so in visual mode and navigate by words, back, forward, etc. I want to talk about making there's this notion of like text object selections. So let's say I'm in the middle of this word throw, and I want to visually select this word. Well, I could go back to the beginning of the word, B back to the beginning of the word, enter visual mode, and hit E in order to select that full word. That's a lot. Personally, people are home. I'm going to close this door. Here we go. Okay, so that's a lot, right? So what was it? Back, the end. That's a lot of things. If we're in the middle, we can do V, and then if we look through our list for where is it? H-I-J-K. Where is? I wish this was actually. I mean, I guess filter wouldn't work in this case. Interesting. I'm not seeing it. Why can I not see it? Okay, here we go. It's towards the bottom. So there's two words that are going to be super important for us, around and inside. A and I. Easy to remember, AI. So when we go into a visual mode, we learned actually enters insert mode, but when we're making a visual selection, A and I do different things. So here we can say V. We're going to use go all the way down to this list where we see these pluses. So we can do like a plus selection. I'm going to go VI for insert mode. And then we have this next, like a full new list of things that we can do. Now we learned that word is kind of like the logical word. And so because we want to select this word, we're going to say visually select inside the word W. So VIW. Now, any character that we're on, we can do this same selection. V, visually select inside the word VIW. This is like kind of the beginning of like how like amazing text selection can be inside of Vim when you actually start using it with text objects. Now, there's other options. So we learned that, let's see, V, if we go down, oops, oh, dang it. I keep doing that. What did I do? Okay, cool. V, where are we at? Now I'm recording a macro. Okay, there we go. V, Control D, This is my fault for using a keyboard that I haven't quite gotten used to. I'm using Homero mods at the moment, and it's a little bit screwing with my muscle memory. So V around. So there's another option, A for round. Also using W is going to select that word with some trailing white space. Now, why do you want to be able to select that with trailing white space? Well, in this particular case, if we wanted to just delete, let's say that we don't want throw in this case, or actually probably better would be new. V around W. If we want to delete this, but then also kind of like keep it like syntactically accurate, which is a single space in between throw and error. Oh my gosh, I keep doing that. It drives me crazy that LazyVim doesn't have S for substitute. So A around W, and then hit delete. We can delete that, have the white space be the way that it needs to because we made that whole selection. And then, we're back in normal mode. We can continue on without kind of faffing around with changing modes, etc. Versus if we go, was it V, I, W, delete, we now have that extra space. So this is where like the slight variations between those like selections can be really handy. Okay, so that's a cool thing, but we can do a lot more once we get into like inside and around. Yeah, so let's say, okay, so obviously like for, we put our cursor like right here, we can visually select inside the current word, change status to something else, right? There are other types of selections that we can do, which really kind of enter into the zone of like how Vim is so awesome. So we're going to go visually select inside. And here we can, let's see if they have this in the list. So control down. Yeah, okay. So here we're inside of this curly brace block. We can specify inside of Vim that we want to change everything inside of this curly brace block by visually selecting everything visually inside these curly braces. So we just type the left or right curly braces. This is definitely a plugin thing. Not like standard Vim, where there's a difference between the left side and the right side. If you do the left side, it's going to take everything inside the block and preserve white space around those edges. And if you do the right side, it's going to include the white space in the selection. So we'll handle that in a second. But first, V, I, and then the curly braces. Oops. V, I, curly braces. So, and it's using the mini AI plugin for that. So VI curly braces. Now we can change that selection and type whatever else we wanted in here. Now let's kind of show how this works if you have a syntax in a programming language where you're going to have like some space around that. So if I do VI left curly brace, it's just going to select the contents of that, ignoring the white space around it, like the stylistic white space. We do VA and then use the right side of that curly brace. It didn't do it. It said it was going to do it, and it didn't do it. VI. Wild. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Unsure why. VI. It's interesting because it definitely says that it should be behaving differently. Selecting the block. I wonder if this is maybe just for vertical white space, but it does suggest that if I do the right side of this curly brace. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. There we go. Keyboard issues. My bad. My bad. Yeah. So we do the right side of the curly brace. Left side of the curly brace ignores the white space. Right side of the curly brace does, in fact, when you're not stupid like me, grab the white space as well. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now this works. This also works in all kinds of places. So check this out. So if we want to, this exists inside these parentheses as well, right? Okay, well, if we wanted to select everything inside the parentheses, we can do V, I, and then one of the options is, this is so dumb, V, I, we're in the curly braces, but if we go down, we can see that we can select things inside of this, these parentheses blocks as well. So we'll use the left parentheses for that, and we select everything inside of those parens. So we can take this as far as we want, but we do kind of enter into some kind of a little bit of a problem. So let's assume that I want to now select everything inside of this block, this try catch. I want to rewrite that. But my cursor is here. Now I could do what I did like we did before and like move out of that, but we can also add a modifier to this. So let's see. Actually, mini is a little bit differently, so we might have to let's investigate this real quick. So V inside, and then what options do we have for visually select inside? So we have B, which actually will get the nearest of all of these, which is super cool. I want to know if I can do a multiplier here inside of mini. Okay, so it doesn't seem to, but if I do 2 here, what does it tell me? So new text object I2. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, so I think what we need to do, and what I would assume if we weren't inside of mini, is do 2. We're going to add a 2 to the beginning of this command. V, I, oops, I was in a weird mode there. 2. All right, how are we going to do this? V, 2. Okay, do we have numbers available to us here? Space. V, I. Interesting. Sorry, now I'm just kind of like screwing around and not getting where I want to go. Okay, VI. Okay, V2I. Interesting. So something I'm having trouble doing is actually selecting inside this entire block when I'm inside this block already. There's a couple plugins that make this possible. I thought Mini did this, and so I'm a little confused as to why it doesn't, or why I can't seem to get it to work. So let's try this again. So I'm looking right now for numbers. Okay, so this is talking about, we have a decrement and increment selection, control space. Okay, so maybe I need to look into those. So V control space, that's a huge selection. So control space and control delete. Oh, hey, I'm out of time technically. Interesting. Okay, so there's a space here which shows 5 more key maps. Let's see, buffer, code, get, search, Windows. Not what I'm looking for. V I Okay, so what I'm trying to do is duplicate the command. And if I just do V and 2E, that works the way that I expect. It's going to select to the end of 2 words. It's going to make, in my visual selection, select to the end of the word 2 times in a row. We can do that with V, as many words as we want. So V4, capital E will go to, go that many numbers of white spaces. I thought that we could do the same thing. So if I do VIB to select inside that block, we'd do VI2B and select inside 2 blocks. Oh, there we go. Okay. We got it. Okay, so that took a second. So VIB is going to select inside the block, right? Was it 2IB selects inside 2 blocks. Let's go back into that space. VI3B. Oh my gosh. Let's see. No text I3. Yes, that's right. Okay, I keep transposing this. So V3IB will select inside of 3 blocks, which is what we want. We want to be able to get out of this block, out of our parens block, which puts us into this try block, which we can then visually fully select and then change. Oh my gosh, that took way too long. All right, so and then what was it? I think VI capital B. Nope. VIB. VI. Maybe there's not a way to do it without the white space using the block selector. So if we do VI left angle bracket, it's going to make that selection. But we do V2I left angle bracket, it'll select based on the angle brackets inside of that block. Whew, that was a chore. Okay. That's right. So we want to multiply. So we enter visual mode, and then we want to multiply the text object, which is IB, or I angle bracket. We don't want to. Yeah. Okay. Whew, that was a trip. All right. I'm out of time. So, hello. Yeah, so part of what I wanted to explore today was like how many concepts you need to know in order to get to visual selection, which is, I think, the most interesting part of Vim. There are a handful of topics that you need to understand. I do like the idea of like doing like a full and complete workflow to like cover those handful of modes. I do think it is interesting, kind of like how much you want to commit, how much we want to in teaching this stuff, how much do you want to commit to like a specific editor, specifically an editor that could like theoretically change over time? One thing that's nice about talking about these things strictly in Vim is that like it hasn't really changed a lot over time. So you can kind of know for a fact like what you're getting into without plugins. Mini, which is a suite of plugins for Neovim, is really great, but it does actually do things differently than some of the plugins that I have become accustomed to from like T-Pope in the Vim script world. And so the order of things is a little bit different and can be a little bit confusing for me. But it does feel like this is kind of like these types of things are modern Vim, and LazyVim is using the same plugin set as like Kickstart Vim, which I was using before, trying Omarchy with LazyVim. So yeah, I wonder if there's kind of like a, you teach it to a specific, specific platform, which would be LazyVim. I don't know. Anyway, if this type of stuff is helpful to you, I do enjoy just kind of like exploring and making sure and testing the limits of like what I actually know in some of these things. Because clearly there were a couple of things where I was wrong, and those would typically in editing, there'd be little mistakes that I wouldn't even notice, and I would just kind of like correct. But it is helpful to like reground myself on like, oh no, I actually like I conceptualized that piece of the thing wrong. Okay, that's it. Bye.